Hi, thank you so much for having us today. We are the Bismarck Middle Eastern Dancers. We are actually a group that started from a class at the YMCA. We practice outside of the class, and we perform around town, usually in the summer and a little bit into the fall and winter whenever we get the chance. We just love to dance. So thank you for coming, and thank you for having us.
All right, one more time for the Bismarck Middle Eastern Dancers. Appreciate you ladies bringing a little dancing, a little art, a little culture to 1 Million Cups this morning. Also, I think we've solved our mask issue. I mean, the purple mask, joke's on you, COVID. Well, I'll wear that mask anyways, so that's awesome. All right, well, good morning. Happy 1 Million Cups Wednesday. My name's Tyler DeMars. I'm with CTB at the Idea Center. I'll be your MC this morning. I think every one of us, the first time we have to use the clicker for the first time, have forgotten. So I got to fish that out of my pocket, and I apologize. We've been depending on the tech guys upstairs to advance slides for us, but we're not doing that anymore. But I guess first question, how many first-timers do we have here today? Any rookies at 1 Million Cups this morning? Just one, okay. Well, very happy to have you here. For all of our seasoned vets, excited to have you here as well, whether you're here in person or watching online, welcome. First thing we always like you to do, if you have the 1 Million Cups app, please check in. If you don't and would like to download it, please do that. We encourage you to download and use that app. It helps us provide data to the Kauffman Foundation, which is the national organizer of 1 Million Cups. It also helps you stay in the loop on 1 Million Cups happenings, who's speaking next, if we have any evening events going on, things like that. So it's a great tool. Please download and check in if you can. All right, thank you to our sponsors. These folks in our community are helping us financial or with in-kind services. We don't have a lot of expenses to pay, but we have to pay for the facility here. We have to buy the delicious coffee from Mighty Missouri, and these folks help us do it. One I would like to highlight this morning is one of our speakers. Justin Walsh is the co-founder of CoSchedule. CoSchedule has been a huge part of our 1 Million Cups community, our entrepreneurial ecosystem. CoSchedule has helped us, our 1 Million Cups organizing team, both financially and I think way more importantly, they give us some of the time from Jaden Van Eckhout, the super talented and super awesome guy that works in our tech booth. So let's hear it for Jaden, and thank you, CoSchedule, for giving us that time. All right, so what is 1 Million Cups? Most of you have been here before, but we like to say it every week. It's fun to say. We get together every Wednesday morning. We put an entrepreneur on stage to tell their story, talk about what opportunity they're after, where they see it going, and what their biggest challenges are in getting there. Our goal is to help them refine their idea, maybe give them some new ideas, help them pivot a little bit, and ultimately connect them to resources, connect them to folks like you who want to see businesses start up in our community, giving them the best chance to succeed that we can. So our goal is, a question we're asking is, can we change the face of our startup community by connecting local entrepreneurs over 1 million cups of coffee? This is year 7 that we've been doing 1 million cups in Bismarck and Mandan. So I think we're probably at least to 500,000 cups of coffee at this point. But all right, so during our Q&A today, we'll have a mic runner, of course, as always. If you have a question in the audience, raise your hands. We'll get a mic in your hand. If you're online, please use hashtag 1MCND on Twitter if you'd like to ask a question that way. Or on our Facebook stream, of course, you can just ask the question in the comments section. So with that, we're on to some community announcements. Next week is our first 1 Million Cups of the month. The new program we've launched this year is our community job board. So if you work for an organization or lead an organization that has some open positions, we'd love to announce them at our 1 Million Cups. So we do that every first Wednesday of the month. So you can message us on Facebook with that job posting. We'd love for you to be here to announce it yourself and talk a little bit about the position. If not, we'll make that announcement for you. One announcement we have this morning is we've decided this will be our last in-person 1 Million Cups of the year. So we have 3 left. Every year we take off between Thanksgiving and the second week in January. We will be virtual for our last 3 of the year. We'll try to do our part to get our COVID numbers moving in the right direction. But we're really proud of what our 1 Million Cups community has accomplished this year. So glad folks are showing up. So glad we have you guys in the audience here. We just want to do what we can to get those COVID numbers moving in the right direction restriction. So in 2021, hopefully we're back to some sense of normalcy and can have a full audience here in the theater. So for the last 3 1 Million Cups of the year, we will be all virtual. If you do have a job announcement next week, we will be doing that live job board during that virtual 1MC. So. All right, any other community announcements? If you have anything, please come to the front of the stage.
I think you need to click it. Thanks. Great. Hi, everyone. My name is Lakin. I am Program Director at the North Dakota Women's Business Center. And I'm here to tell you about the North Dakota Women's Business Summit happening November 10th. There's only a couple weeks left to get your tickets, and then you won't have to see me up here every week. But this is an event for entrepreneurs. If you have employees, if you are an employee and you want some personal professional development, this is for you. We've got over a dozen trainers who are signed on to provide excellent content, and we've shortened the day. So there'll be power-packed 35-minute sessions, aside from our Breakfast with Entrepreneurs panel and our keynote, which will both be 45 minutes long. So anyway, you'll be done by 12:30, and then you'll have the afternoon to do what you need. So one other bonus with going all virtual is that we're able to provide all of this content for you afterwards. So if you want to attend but can't that day, you can sure buy a ticket and then have access to all of the recordings post. So check us out online, ndwbc.com, or you can find us on Eventbrite. Also, business builders. Wendy Klug is going to be talking about how to build a home-based business on November 3rd. This is a free event and one that we put on with all of our SBA resource partners. You can see along the bottom of the screens there. So again, find it at ndwbc.com/events. I think that's it. Oh.
I think this one's on me. We have new testing sites and times, I believe, too. So we're showing this slide earlier in the year. The times have been adjusted. So if you had seen the previous information we put out there, this is the new information from Bismarck Mandan free testing. So you can pre-register at the testreg.nd.gov if you'd like to expedite your testing process. But if you're looking to get a free COVID test, here are the times and places that you can do that. All right, and unless there are any other community announcements, I see none. Without further ado, let's get into our speakers. So this morning, I've been looking forward to this 1 Million Cups for a while. Today, we're talking about intrapreneurship, and what we mean when we say intrapreneurship, it's folks in established, mature organizations acting like entrepreneurs, thinking about new ideas, new products, innovating, continuing to solve problems, which all organizations do. We have 2 organizations represented today, CoSchedule and Bobcat, who have done especially, I think, valuable work in that kind of intrapreneurship space. So our first speaker today is CoSchedule CTO and co-founder Justin Walsh. Let's hear it for Justin.
Thanks, Tyler. And thanks, 1 Million Cups. I've been on the stage a few times. It's always a delight to come back, and I just want to say it's always so fun to have you guys in the first row. You're never shy about being right up front, and I love that about Janya and Evan. How are we doing? Everybody liking the nicer weather this morning? I woke up, I was expecting it a little colder, and it was almost shorts and t-shirt weather, which this time of year I'm pretty excited about. Yeah, when Tyler reached out to ask about intrapreneurship, I was excited to join the conversation because I think there's a lot to be said about what organizations do to sort of foster that culture in their groups. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what that means at CoSchedule, like what it means from a core values standpoint, and then I'll just kind of talk about some of the strategies we've used to try to encourage and foster the idea of self-driven teams, leadership within, and groups of people that are able to self-direct, with really very little oversight or red tape, which I think in a real sense of the word intrapreneurship is the space for people to start things within something that already exists. Well, CoSchedule's 7 years old now. We were on this stage when we launched. Isn't that crazy? And to think about that, in hindsight, all of the things we've invented and done and built over the years, and the spin-offs, the people that have been in our organization and now left, because they're starters. They can't not start things. And so we're not only proud of the heritage we have as a company, but also the sort of legacy that we're trying to make in the community when it comes to the people that are out there starting new businesses that once called CoSchedule home. So really proud to be in Bismarck, Mandan, and a wholly owned and operated North Dakota company. So entrepreneurship at CoSchedule, I think it starts with core values for us. When we start, a hiring process, we spend a great deal of time with people. One of the things we try to identify is this person a self-starter? Are they going to be a permission taker or a permission asker? Are they someone who is of the mindset, I'm probably just going to do this and then ask for some forgiveness? We love those people. Those people are where some of our best ideas come from. And you can really only have that in your organization if you're okay with, failure. Like, it's not all going to be great. Like, it's not all going to always work all the time. And so to attract, but then also keep those types of folks in your organization, you have to really communicate that if something totally fails, it bombs, it's not successful, is that okay? Is that going to be a reprimand? Are they going to lose their jobs? Are they going to put what's going to happen? You have to create safety. You have to create a safe space for people to understand that it's okay to totally mess up, but learn from it and move on. It's happened time and time again where, new engineers at CoSchedule will be trying something wild and different, and they end up deleting something on production, and it brings the app down. Well, we have a lot of customers in a lot of different countries, and that's always an unfortunate incident. And a lot of people get really nervous when they do something like that, and they never get in trouble. I mean, it's always I guarantee you they're not going to do it the same way twice, kind of situation. And that culture of just like embracing the idea that you might try something and it might be a wild failure or a wild success, and then just doing it over and over and over again means that you can outpace competitors, you can outpace the competition, you can innovate at a faster pace because people are just experimenting more. So you really have to communicate that. That isn't something people naturally find. I mean, especially if they're coming from other places that maybe don't, that have very rigid structures of management. They're probably used to having to ask for everything they want to do, or being told more specifically, here's your job, this is all you get to do. If you do it any other way, that's it, you're in trouble. And I mean, nowadays, not only is the generation of workers coming up not expect that kind of management, but I think we're missing a huge opportunity if that's how your organization is being run. So I think it's in the very fabric of how you communicate to your team on a weekly, monthly, yearly basis. It's from the moment you start talking to them and hiring them. How are you indoctrinating that trust and respect into the team so that they know this is a place where I can be a leader, be a starter, and try and experiment things from within an organization? That's really, at CoSchedule, what entrepreneurship looks like, is that we want the entire team to operate in that sort of capacity where they own and love the work that they do and they feel a great deal of ownership over it. And that happens if you kind of get out of the way. One of the things we have is we have we're like kind of a big team of teams at CoSchedule. So we've got 60 people, but we're really no more than 4 or 5 people on each individual team that does different things. Half of those teams at CoSchedule are R&D teams. They're research and development teams. They're product teams. They're designers, programmers, project managers, customer advocates. They're people building something from nothing. They're inventors. And one of the things about keeping those teams small is that there's a lot less, management overhead, and it allows them to iterate and pivot really quickly on their ideas. So as they try and experiment things, once they find something that works, they can double down on it or invest more in it. And when they find something that doesn't work, it's really easy to shift 3 or 4 people away from it and trying, something else. So keeping teams small, nimble helps with entrepreneurship. I think once teams start getting over, 7, 8 people, all of a sudden you need a meeting for everything. Where with 3 or 4 people, it's like, hey, Jim, should we try this? Yeah, let's try it. It's a lot more informal, a lot more organic. So just keeping things small, more nimble is one of our secrets. We try to sort of highlight the victory stories of doing this type of thing. So we have what we call our Vote for Value Awards. So every week at our sort of all-staff meeting, we crown, there's a literal crown and a cape, but that's beside the point. We crown a Vote for Value Award winner that week. It might be somebody who did something that wasn't in their job description that adds value to our customers. And so it's just one of those little ways. We give them, I think, a $50 or $100 Amazon gift card every single week. We give this, it's just part of our routine to try to remind and bring to the surface those people who are excelling, who are going above and beyond what they were asked to do, and really being self-starters within the company. I I think one of the single greatest things that we have is, a testing culture, especially when I think about product development teams. We try as much as you can in product development to use data to make good decisions. So everything from, heat map, reports of our customers' engagement in our product to analytics of the usage and retention of the product. And our teams have access to all of that. And if they don't have metrics, they're responsible for making sure they are capturing the metrics. What does that do? Once you actually have a team that can answer really good questions about how much something's being used or how much a customer is coming back and engaging with something, they can start making decisions without any, oversight or management to say, yeah, I think we should do this, we should change that, we should try this, and then see how that affects their numbers. So people call them KPIs, metrics, data, whatever you want to call it. Your business has them. It might be repeat customers or repeat retail activity. How are you tracking that? How are you tracking that performance by salesperson or by CSR or by retail worker? How are you tracking the average sale price per employee and understanding that data so that they can iterate and try things and improve on their own, right? Just based on what that data might be telling them. So adding metrics, adding KPIs, and then really giving those to those small teams and then giving them the expectation of here's where we're at, here's where we need to get, and then sort of get out of the way and see what ideas and things come from that is a form of entrepreneurship. It doesn't have to be starting another business within a business always. It can be just making space for people and opportunities for people to lead and come up with fresh and new ideas. One of the things we just did, kind of a success story for us at CoSchedule, and it's very much in the in process. I wouldn't call it a success story yet. We've just launched a new product called our Headline Studio. It's something we've been giving away for free for years as a product we called our Headline Analyzer. It helps writers, authors create really good headlines for the content that they're publishing online. And so we've decided to productize it. We've turned it into its own app, its own pricing model, its own thing. And we formed a small team to do it. But in the course of just a few months, that team went from wireframes on paper and whiteboards to a product that we're now selling online. That, in a 7-year-old company, is pretty remarkable that you can, with 3 or 4 people working on this and an extended team of maybe 10 helping, but really a core team of 3 or 4, building something from scratch and launching it out into the world to see what happens. But I think the more important thing is where we're at now. We've got it out there. We've been out about a month with the product, but we're meeting 3-4 times a week, looking at the data, looking at customer behavior, testing changes, shipping almost daily improvements to that product to try to figure out, what is the thing that's going to make it work best. And a lot of that is being led right from the team within that built the thing. It isn't this rigid, construct where, this was an order form, here's what to make, go do it. It was, here's the idea, and how are we going to get there? And so it's just created an incredible space and an opportunity for those team members to really lead from within that team, build something that's their own product within CoSchedule, which is pretty cool, and it allows us to evolve as a company. So, there's examples of that all over CoSchedule's history, but I think, you probably cannot over-communicate the trust aspect. If you're the leader, you cannot over-communicate how okay it is to fail every once in a while. You can't over-communicate that that's your expectation even, that you expect people to start and to try and to innovate at a level as if they were the owner of the business. And that if they fail, it's okay as if the owner of the business did it themselves. And that there's no repercussions, there's no recourse. You need to create that culture in order to really have, I think, a truly entrepreneurial culture in your business where the best ideas will come up. So thanks for having me today. I can't wait for Q&A. I love the Q&A, so be thinking of your questions for later on. But thanks for having me back, 1 Million Cups. It's been really fun. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Justin. Okay, our next speaker is Jennifer Saari. Jennifer Saari is an acceleration specialist with Bobcat at their North American Acceleration Innovation Center. I think it's a mouthful, but okay, let's hear it for Jen.
Thank you. Oh, you don't need the clicker. Thank you. All right, so I am the newbie in the crowd today. This is my first time being here, and I'm super excited. I had a real good joke that I was going to get up here and say that, hey, I'm Matt Sagesser, and welcome to, thank you for coming today. I found out yesterday afternoon that I would be doing this. So I'm super excited Matt's away today, and you're stuck with me, so if you came to see Matt, sorry, but here I am. So I have been with Bobcat for 8.5 years, and it's truly been an honor. It's been a lot of fun. I've got to take some of my creative ideas and make them happen. And before I get started, I want to tell you a little bit about Bobcat and where we started. So picture the year 1956, and you have a turkey barn, and that turkey barn needs to be cleaned out. It's got some stuff, right? And the stuff that you have available is too big to clean out that barn. And so insert two innovative brothers that came to your rescue and created the first skid steer. It was 3 wheels back then, it wasn't 4. And here we are 60 years later, still a market leader. We invented this industry, and here we are still leading the market. So today, we have our North American headquarters in Fargo. And then we have manufacturing facilities in Gwinner, Bismarck, Wahpeton, North Dakota, Litchfield, Minnesota, and then also in Statesville, North Carolina. So you can see by the screen here, this is just a gamut of construction equipment that we produce here in our manufacturing. But the cool thing about this is you can take any one of these pieces of equipment, and an entrepreneur can go and build a business with it, right? So any one of these, they can, we support that entrepreneurship. So when it comes to hiring at Bobcat, we really want individuals that are committed to innovation, and we want those people who are passionate about their work and provide value. We want the people that we want to offer support to the people, as well as the resources they need to make reality come true for them. So we involve our employees, and one of the ways that we do this is through crowdsourcing. And our internal crowdsourcing system we call Groundbreaker is really my baby. And it's a way that we go out and get employee ideas, whether it's looking to solve a problem that we may have on our manufacturing floor, or did I just turn it off? Oh, there we go. Working to solve a problem on our manufacturing floor, or maybe it's the next disruptive innovation. It's the way that we get our ideas from employees. But then to take it a little bit further, we have our Tinker Time. And Tinker Time is a way for employees to work on things that matter most to them. It's not the project that your leader says this is what needs to be done. It's that project that really has your heart. And this is a way where employees can go out and work on that during work time, right? We give employees the opportunity to not only get their everyday work done, but also work on their passions as well. We engage employees through open ideation. So open ideation for us is when we have internal resources and external resources, and we bring them together. So we have what's called a customer blitz. And at a customer blitz, we bring in customers and dealers and different people to showcase what we've been working on. And this is really like a show and tell, where we have our internal employees who have been working on things that they think is important to customers, and then bringing them in and finding out if it really meets customer needs. Really cool events. They're a lot of fun. And then we also empower our employees. And one of the ways that we do that is through our Weekend Warrior program. So if you're an employee at Bobcat, you have the opportunity to check one of those machines out that you saw in that first slide and take it home and maybe work on a landscaping project or move snow, which I don't really want to start thinking about. But right, like we give our employees that opportunity to be able to do that. One of the cool things that I'm just going to give a little plug on our Weekend Warrior program. I'm one of the co-leaders of our women's group within Bobcat. And one of the things we found out was women weren't checking out this equipment because they couldn't load a trailer or they couldn't operate the equipment, right? But taking a step back, realizing the need, and we created what we call our We Grow Rodeo. And it's a place where it's non-judgmental, where we bring women in and men. We found that they also needed it. and give them an opportunity to drive that equipment in real world, out in our playground. If you haven't visited the Acceleration Center, I definitely would give that a plug. But really driving the equipment, trailering equipment. If you've ever trailered equipment, it's not easy, and that would be something that would definitely hold you back. So I just had to give a little plug there. And then I also want to talk about the Tinker Lab. And our Tinker Lab is really a place, we call it behind the curtain, right? Where some really cool stuff happens, where an idea comes from crowdsourcing. And maybe it's designing a cab a little bit different. But designing a cab, if we were to go out into manufacturing, could be really expensive. Where if we go behind the curtain, we could create a cab out of wood or out of plastic, something a little bit cheaper, just to see if the concept works. So how does Bobcat innovation, the process, work? So it all starts with that minimally believable product. So it's a product that we've come up with that's kind of believable to the customer, but maybe not ready for full stream implementation. So we kind of move it through the stages where we bring customers in, show them that minimally believable product to see if it's something that would fit their needs. And once we find that out, then we can move into that functional product where maybe we can bring it out to that customer site. Once we get the feedback that we need on that functional product, then we can commercialize it and bring it into the next implementation stream of bringing it into everybody so everybody has the opportunity to purchase that product. So when we talk about a minimally viable product, a wheel, right, to a skateboard, like the customer doesn't really understand that. We need to bring it a little bit further into really understanding the needs of our customer, right? Like the customer cares about the transportation and the skateboard and how we can move that, making sure that they understand the process and we understand the needs that we're meeting for them. So what's our mission at Bobcat? It's to empower people to accomplish more. And we really want to make sure that we're sustaining that global leadership in the compact industry today and into the future. Thanks for having me, everybody. It's been fun.
All right, let's hear it for Jen. Thank you. We'll all jump on stage here, Jen.
Okay, you want me on the end?
Yeah, on the end's great. Thank you. Thank you, Justin. All right, time for a little Q&A session. We have Evan will be mic running today, so raise your hand. He'll get a mic in your hand so you can ask questions. Of course, thanks, Justin. If you're online, make sure you ask your question in the comments of the Facebook stream. And we have Kirsten on social media this morning. She'll be asking the question for you. So I'll get us started off. Both of you brought up the culture of entrepreneurship and how you create that culture and empowering employees to think about their own projects and giving them time, actually budgeting time in their work schedule for that. I think for both Bobcat with all the engineering talent and CoSchedule with all the tech and software development talent that you have these highly sought after employee types or kind of human resources, right? How do you balance giving them that time and encouraging them to think about their own projects or think about their own ideas with retention? And I'm sure there's some turnover that happens there because you are dealing with makers. They want to go out and do their own thing. So can you talk a little bit about how that balance happens?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
One of the double-edged swords with hiring self-starters is sometimes they leave and start stuff. And that's just a consequence of hiring some of the best people you can find. And so I never really think about it much, like the balance between, I think the most important job I can do is provide the best possible experience at CoSchedule I can to every employee, right? So if that means giving them the space to do the best work of their life as fast as they can so that they are learning, being engaged in their careers, being challenged by the work ahead of them. Like that's my job while I'm in their life, right, as a founder. But the other thing is their instincts are to start stuff, to build things. As creative individuals, like we want to get our hands dirty and get in there. And so the more process we put into place that gets in the way, the more bureaucracy, the more red tape, the more approval processes, the less excited about their work they're going to be. And so one of the things we've done is created what we call like we use MVP in a lot of different ways, but we call it our minimum viable project management process. You've got minimum viable product, but you also need to have a minimum viable project management process. And this is probably the one area that's the most contentious for somebody who's really brilliant and a maker in an organization, is that they can't go as fast as they're capable of. They can't move quickly because there's too many meetings, there's too much bureaucracy, there's too many forms to fill out, there's just too much crap. And the more you can eliminate that, the more the more you can necessitate just eliminating waste and just letting you need project management, but you need the minimum viable amount of it. Just enough to act as guardrails for the whole organization to say, oh, we're out of line there, we're out of line there, but that's it. Everything else in the middle needs to be up to that team, up to the maker, up to the inventor that's getting the work done. And so we try not to have, we don't have like massive requirements documents. Our documents are pretty much the designs. We've all thought about it, we've all talked through it, this is what we like, and we're totally okay changing it mid-build if we find better ideas. So I think it's about, from start to finish, when a maker or creative is in an organization, we just have to make sure that, we're not overbearing, we're not pushing them out unnecessarily because we don't create that space for them to be successful.
So it's just staying true to that philosophy of employee empowerment and team empowerment, and we'll take whatever loss happens with that, but we're going to get much more upside from it, is kind of what we're hearing.
Yeah, I mean, if you pound down the tallest nail long enough, the nails all leave. So like, you've got to make it okay for stellar employees to do the best work they possibly can, and not get in the way of that.
Awesome. Jen, how about Bobcat?
So when I think about Bobcat, I think about employee empowerment, right? Giving employees the power to create their future, and that does sometimes mean that we're hiring good people, right? And that means that those good people, those creative people, do have sometimes leave companies to start their own thing, right? But as leaders, we need to be, we don't want our employees to leave, but we need to be okay with that. We need to be okay with making sure that they're doing the best thing for their future.
Question up front here.
Okay, I have two, but they're tailored for each of you. When you were giving your presentation, I was thinking I'd be interested in the kind of the average time from an MVP through, kind of as it moves through that process, what you're seeing in terms of those times, and if those times have been changing over time.
Right.
Hold that thought. And then after that, I would be interested, so as I was listening to both your presentations, I would love, Justin, if you could talk about how you engage if you do the customer early into your design process, or is it wait, and the data piece on how they're reacting to it once it's been deployed, but is the engagement that may happen before something is released for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
So when I think about that process, our goal is innovation accelerated. We want to innovate quickly and get things to the market. And what we found, right, is each product, each process, each technology, it requires its own time frame. Stuff that we thought would go quickly and would be adopted hasn't been. Stuff that there's also things out there that's a little surprising that did take off in the marketplace that we might not have thought it would. And that's why it's important to get our customers included right away in the process before we're too far in and have a hard time failing, right? We want to fail early and then move the process. So get that feedback quickly, make the changes we need to, and then go forward.
Shania, that's a good question. And I think I've got so many different ways I could go about answering that. But one of the things that's nice about our shop is that we have very small cycle times. We don't build things for 6 months. We just don't. Even the headline studio is a couple of months. It's like maybe we have a designer working ahead on customer interviews and ideation and reviewing the backlog of ideas that have come in over the years about that area of our business, formulating ideas. But when the real team sort of gets involved, we're talking a couple months for a new product. And I think that our normal build cycle for features is a couple of weeks. It's 2 to 4. Anything beyond that's a pretty large feature for us. So the idea that we might build something somebody doesn't want is a little lower risk for us. We can always just get rid of it. That's a pretty good test, just building things faster and getting it out there and seeing what happens. But the genesis of ideas comes from all over the place. We have a lot of folks that talk to customers, our sales, our account managers, our success managers, our support, our escalated support. We have a lot of different teams that help our customers, and there's tons of gold in there. That comes into kind of a vote management system our project managers use. That's getting reviewed kind of by team specialties. Those teams are bubbling up the good ideas and bringing them to the top. We're also reviewing it as a leadership team all the time and kind of prioritizing it. But when something gets taken off the wall and we're like, okay, I think we should work on that, our UI UX designers on every one of our R&D teams really are the leader of customer research. And we've had that, that culture for a really long time. So they're sometimes looking in the app data and saying, who uses features like this one that I could call or talk to or do a screen share with? Sometimes they're just reviewing usage data. Sometimes, they're digging into what we can know to try to influence what we're going to build. So I'd say that's a little bit of how we're involving customers. Customers are constantly giving us ideas. There's no limit to the number of things we could do. There is a definite limit to the number of them we can build. So we have to be really careful about prioritization.
Great. I think Joel has a question over here.
Hey, Justin and Jennifer, thanks for being here. Justin, I want to say the first time I came to 1MC, you were speaking back in, was that 13 or 12? So good to have you back. I know I have good friends in each of your companies, and I know how valuable it is to have a career where you're able to create and able to ideate. I want to ask the question, how do you guide disagreement during the ideation process? Because when you allow people to be passionate and chase after something, they're going to feel really strongly about it. So how do you, the teams are small at CoSchedule, but how do you guide that when there's disagreement?
Yeah, I think it's a great point, because it's one spot where if handled incorrectly, you can really lose your best people fast, right? Because if the good ideas aren't the ones that win, that's going to get tiresome. And so I oddly love sitting in meetings where there is a healthy amount of debate and discourse. I think that the more people are, impassioned and emboldened by their point of view and ideas, the better and sharper the idea in the end will be. It also shows me just how engaged they are in the whole process. It gives me a huge amount of pride in just the teams that we have and the company we have. So I like it. I like the healthy debate, the discourse to get to the good idea. But in the end, it's consensus building, and it's natural. It isn't, well, this is the way we're going to do it. I don't care. Like that isn't how we operate. It's the why. It's the debate. It's okay. I see why you're saying that. Why are you saying that? It's question asking. It's just it's in that ideation room, in that meeting, where at the end of it, obviously the goal is that everybody understands and unifies around the scope we've decided to do, the idea we're doing it, and really more importantly, like the why we're trying to solve this problem for the customer. There are very few instances I can even think of where we would walk away from a product development meeting and really feel like things are divided. It ends up being where people are open-minded. They're willing to let their mind be changed with a good argument. And when you've got a really good intellectual group of people, good arguments win.
Yeah, I would totally echo that. I also, as uncomfortable as it can be sometimes, right? Like it's good to have a little bit of healthy debate, and really what we try to empower people in our ideation sessions is there's no bad ideas, right? Everybody's passionate. We're all here for one purpose, and really that's to grow the company and grow ourselves. And so, I think it's a matter of understanding where each person is coming from. Kind of that good person vibe. But then also, at the end of the day, like you said, making sure that we're all going towards that specific goal that was set forth at the beginning.
Can I add just a little bit?
Yeah.
You made me think of something there. I think the good person vibe, like, it helps when people aren't trying to just win because they want to go up some sort of ladder of success, right? It is about the good idea. It's about the product we deliver to the customer. It's about the value we're trying to produce. And so everybody in that room, even when it's heated, knows that the other person on the opposite side of their opinion or whatever's going on is only also trying to get what's best for the customer and not trying to do some, sort of selfish, I want to look like the person with the best ideas. Like that just isn't the culture. It isn't the people we try to find and hire. It's just not a part of our company, and I think that stuff gets sniffed out fast if it starts happening and just gets corrected. So I think it starts with the people, in order for that to be successful, it really does come down to what do they want in a workplace.
Cool. Question over here. This is absolutely great discussion. And my question is, and this is probably different for both organizations and probably for each idea, but Justin, you talk about a win. How is that win determined from a loss? Who determines that? Is it something that management does? Is it something that you throw to the marketplace and then you come back and you say, well, this is working, this isn't working? But how do you know when to go forward and when not to?
I missed a critical word in your question at the very beginning. You said, how do we know when what? And I
When a win.
Oh, when a win is.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, the echo is just, I didn't.
So how do you know
yeah.
when to go forward and how do you know to shut the water off?
Sometimes, it's instinct, it's gut of the team, like it's just time doing the job that, the instincts are strong enough in the build team and the R&D team to know this is probably going to land quite successfully versus we're not sure. I think you have to be okay with the we're not sure answer sometimes, that's where it comes down to failing fast. If you wanted all sure deals all the time, all that you're going to do is elongate every one of your processes and discourage people from really trying and starting things because there is no real sure deal. You know what I mean? You can do as much customer research as you possibly can, but at a certain point there's diminishing returns. You just have to ship it. You have to decide, is one day of talking to customers enough to understand if we should build this or not? It probably is in most cases. In 10 conversations you might know instinctively this is going to land really good. People are going to love this. Or I think we're on the wrong track. We need to pivot. It doesn't take cohorts of thousands of people and months of research. It can be really small, sometimes not at all. Sometimes it's just, the team knows based on historical, experience that they should build, the thing that they want to do. And any amount of process that gets really in the way of that type of work or slows it, down to just going to market, which ultimately is the test, is the litmus test. Does it land okay? Do people use it? Do they like it? Will they pay for it? Anything that really slows that down unnecessarily is waste. And people don't like that.
Now, I'll kind of piggyback on Mark's question a bit. We coach entrepreneurs at CTB, and in coaching entrepreneurs, it's not our job to tell them if their idea is good or not, right? In internal entrepreneurial activities, I'd imagine that that's still there, but it's a little different. What we want to do is make sure they're asking the right questions, right? So if we're not sure, if we're not seeing exactly what they're after, well, we might ask, can you generate $1 in revenue, make one sale? Or we might ask, can you clearly articulate what problem you're solving or what situation you're improving for a customer here, right? So those are some of the hurdles we're asking entrepreneurs to get over. At Bobcat or at CoSchedule, in these conversations about new products, are there filters or are there common questions that come up in these discussions that would move an idea or a potential product forward?
Go ahead.
Yeah, it is one of those things that is hard to define, the guardrails, because it looks a little bit different in every meeting, in every group, on every project. When we get the team together, if anybody in that room senses we are flying blind, we try to fill in, we try to get some basis, right? Let's go have that team talk to Chris Paul, our head of customer success. His team talks to our largest customers every day, help them onboard the product, use the product, engage with the product. They can talk as our customers. They have that perspective, those folks. Same thing for our customer, and technical support teams. Like they are helping customers with issues, figuring out how to use the products. Like we have a lot of sources of information, and if we're in a situation where we don't know, should we or shouldn't we do something, or maybe it made it to the top of the priority list and we're sort of all looking at like, how'd this get here? We can go back and track it. We can talk to the person who requested. We can look at the tickets from our support desk these ideas flowed. We can see that it has 15 support tickets attached to it and 35 votes through our idea voting. So, like, the amount of information we have to help make good decisions is huge. So if anybody's getting there and they're sort of shaky or unsure, we can always go back and lean on that. So there's very rarely situations where we're all looking at the data and saying, like, this is the wrong call, like fundamentally the wrong call. Sometimes there's data that says we should do it, but business strategy trumps it, and I think that happens occasionally. And that's okay. Sometimes you only can do so much with the team and the company and the size of business you are. And sometimes our leadership team, our executive team from the heads of all of our areas of CoSchedule get together and we're looking at, like, if we could have a couple of things in 2020, a couple of things in 2021, what would they be strategically? And sometimes that influences our roadmap in ways that might not always be data-driven, but more strategic about direction that we're trying to pivot larger parts of the business. But it's a marriage of those two, right? It can't just be, all high-level business strategy, with no real data or customer-driven request involved. It has to be, I'd say probably more towards customer-driven requests from the customer group that you're trying to grow your business in, because you might have multiple, plus that business strategy that might change the course of your trajectory as a company. It is organic. It has to sort of evolve. It can't be rigidly managed. It just can't.
Yeah, you're definitely blending the art and science of new product development and entrepreneurship. Yeah.
Yep.
Jen, how about Bobcat?
When I think about Bobcat and I think about Groundbreaker, I mentioned it earlier in our crowdsourcing system. When we start an initiative, we make sure that we have clear criteria set. Like, if an idea is something that we're going to move forward, it needs to meet this. And I think it's really making sure that you do the work up front, because I think that's also important. But then, making sure that you're following through on that and meeting what your objective was at the beginning. And sometimes that means pivoting, right? It means, based on something that you may learn along the way, it means going a different way, but really making sure that you've done your work up front and understanding what's needed.
Great. Dave has a question.
How do you guys handle situations with an employee that comes with an awesome idea, but it doesn't pan out, and you want to keep them inspired, to keep thinking outside the circle? I call it outside the circle, not outside the box. But how do you keep that person engaged, even though it might not fit perfectly in what your plans are? Because you want your employees to come with new ideas, and sometimes they're going to be let down. How do you keep them inspired?
People are passionate about their ideas, and I think that's really a cool thing. But you're right. When you have that much passion and something doesn't work out, it hurts a little bit, and it could crush them, right? So they wouldn't want to come back again next time. But I think one of the things, and he touched on it earlier, is failure, right? Like, we just need to keep going and fail often and quickly. And sometimes that means that, this idea is going to be put on the shelf for later when maybe it would fit into our objectives a little bit more. But making sure that we communicate that and not just snuff it out, but giving them the encouragement to keep on going and communicating what our plan is and maybe, where it would fit into our future.
The team at CoSchedule is really an analytical one. There's a lot of makers, both artists, musicians, creatives. They're constantly generating new ideas. And one of the worst explanations to any creative person as to why their idea isn't a good one is just because it's just not. Like that. If that's it, yeah, you're going to completely discourage them from ever coming back to the table with anything. But I think that as long as everything comes from the why behind the decision, and until everybody is in sort of consensus building again, until everybody understands the motivations, the strategy, the business decision behind that move, your work's not done, right? Because you really need to be transparent about that decision. Like, why isn't something being done this way? Why aren't we doing it that way? We need to be able to confidently say, and this is for the managers, the leadership that might be calling that, no, we're just not going to do it. We're going to do this instead. We need to be able to explain that in detail the decision behind it. And it can't be based on too many assumptions or it's going to get called out. It needs to be based on facts and data and overall business pivot strategy that can be looked at and said, here's what we're trying to accomplish. We think we can do that in 6 months or whatever. And because of that, we have to put this down. I think people will get that, and as long as there's that open line of communication, I don't think you've got any problem. One thing we do at CoSchedule to help with that transparency, and we've done it since the very first day, is at our all hands, our all staff meeting, where we're reporting on company numbers, we're talking about how sales is doing, we're showing new product off and demos to the whole team, is we have what's called our founder Q&A. And I think that sometimes there's decisions made at a company that people don't necessarily agree with, but they never get an opportunity or forum to answer, to ask that question. There isn't the space. Maybe you don't meet with the owner of the business. Maybe that's not a part of your, one-on-one schedule. And so you meet with someone who meets with the founder, and you never feel like you have that opportunity to voice a concern or to ask a question. We have allowed our entire staff to submit questions anonymously to HR through a Google form for years that she reads at all hands, that we get put on the spot and answering. And we have had some doozies. We have had some very tough questions over the years that we have had to answer, that has kept us transparent, accountable to the entire team. And we're just never going to take that away. Because I feel like when people don't have an opportunity to figure out the why behind a decision, whether it's a product development decision or a business decision or a hiring or firing decision, we've been asked them all. And we've had to explain the intention and heart behind those decisions to the staff. And I think that there's nothing more valuable in the fabric of our culture than that level of transparency from Garrett and I to everybody on the team. And when I tell that to founders or new business owners or even people with small teams, it's intimidating to think that with anonymity, you can be asked any hard question about a business decision you have made, and you have to be able to answer it. That is a really powerful way to deal with a situation where some decision is made and somebody doesn't agree with it.
We have time for one more question before our last question of the morning.
With your Bobcat, you have in-house tinkering. Now, how do you glean the tinkering that's done on the equipment that was purchased, and a contractor or something says, I'm going to add this feature on this because this will answer a problem? Do you have a way of gleaning what the tinkerers are doing on the outside, your customers?
So I think one of the things that we do is we make sure that we understand what that tinkering is, and maybe bringing them in to understand it even a little bit more than what they're doing. When you talk about tinkering, you mean like our internal employees tinkering, or are you thinking like? Yep. Sure. Yep. Okay. Yep. So what we have an external system where those individuals are able to submit ideas to maybe possibly have them implemented into our product. So it's an external crowdsourcing system where we are able to get those ideas and maybe move them into production.
Well, just a couple comments. First, Jen, that We Grow Rodeo idea. I mean, if that's ever open to the public, there might be. I'm a little insecure about my operating ability. I can run a snowblower and a lawnmower, and that's about it. But
I wasn't
if that's ever
one
available
too.
to the
It's
public,
awesome
I'd be interested. Just saying.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay.
And then Justin, we did have our own Kate Herzog in our Slack channel said Justin equals best beard in Bismarck, and Kate is an authority on all things cool. So I guess I'll concede that to you. That's good. But last question of the morning, Evan, would you do the honors, please?
Sure. First, just kudos to both of your organizations for creating these cultures that, as a serial entrepreneur, I long ago said I will never work for anybody, but I listen to your stories and kind of think, God, I could work there. That sounds like a lot of fun. So kudos for doing that. And so the final question we always like to ask is, what can the Bismarck Mandan 1 Million Cups community do to support you and your organizations and your missions?
Go ahead.
purchase our equipment. No, I think this is an awesome place for our employees to come and grow, right? I mean, this is a really, really neat organization, and even though I am the newbie, I definitely will be back. So yes, thank you.
Yeah, I would say this format benefits us. You know, having 1 million cups, having a space for entrepreneurs to get ideas, to meet each other, to network. I would say keep showing up, keep being involved in this startup community in Bismarck. The current organizing team of 1 million cups, thank you guys for taking the flag and continuing to wave it for 1 mil. I think that is just so appreciated by the staff and the entire team at CoSchedule, because we know how much value and how much connective tissue this acts as a conduit for our community. So thank you guys. I think how you can help CoSchedule is, we're always looking for the brightest, the best. If you know designers, writers, marketers, programmers, tell them about us. We're right here. You don't have to leave the state of North Dakota. We've been saying that for all these years. You don't have to leave the state to do really great and interesting work. And so we're looking for a UI UX designer. That's one opportunity for you to refer people who are brilliant at illustration and graphic design and web design to our organization, and keep being involved. Thanks for the opportunity to share the stage today, Bobcat and Tyler. Thank you very much.
Well, and both your organizations, the talent that you help us retain and attract to our community, the awesome people like Jaden up in the booth there. Well, Jaden's a Bismarck kid anyways, but he's stuck with us now. So, yeah. And Bobcat does the same. Such an important part of our entrepreneurial ecosystem to keep good people here and attract good talent to our community. So really appreciate what both your organizations do, and so thankful for the time this morning too. Thank you so much, guys. So let's hear it one more time for Justin, Jen. All right, as a reminder, next week and the next 3 weeks to finish out the year, we will be all virtual. So next week there will be no speakers, no coffee here, but pour your favorite cup and join us online. Next week we'll have Brutal Twig. They are a mushroom cultivator. So quite a contrast from this morning's, but it'll be a fun one. I think that'll be an interesting concept to dig into. So thanks for joining us this morning. Have a great rest of the week.
Thanks, Tyler.